The westward expansion. The Donner Party. The Donner Party was a group of 87 travelers led by George Donner, Jacob Donner, and James Reed. The party was comprised of two main families, the Donner family and the Reed family. The Donner Party traveled from Springfield, Illinois to Independence, Missouri, where they officially began their journey. The Donner Party's destination was California, so they traveled the California Trail. The Donner Party decided to speed up their journey by taking Hastings Cutoff. Hastings Cutoff was advertised as a shortcut, but in reality, it was longer than the regular route. Travelers were led through Hastings Cutoff by a man named Lansford Hastings. The Donner Party planned to have Hastings lead them through the shortcut, but Hastings was unable to at the time. The Donner Party made the mistake of taking Hastings Cutoff without him. While traveling, an axle, which is an important part of a wagon, broke. The party's travel was delayed as they tried to fix the axle. Next, it began snowing, trapping the Donner Party and sealing their fate.
The Donner Party had to survive for 5 months in the harsh winter of 1846 to 1847. They made crude and makeshift shelters of logs, rocks, and animal hides. The party's members started out eating the food they had brought with them, but when this ran out, they ate twigs, bark, leaves, dirt, mice, charred bones, shoes, and the animals they had brought with them. This, too, eventually ran out. On Christmas Day, 1846, the party consumed their first corpse. The members of the Donner Party continued eating their dead, even labeling the dead's flesh to prevent the party members from eating close relatives.
One woman of the Donner Party said that the wind suggested cannibalism.
Even the wind held its breath as the suggestion was made that we were one to die, the rest might live.
The diary of Patrick Breen, a member of the Donner Party, was found.
December 1st, 1846, Milt and Noah went to Donno's. 8 days since not returned yet. Thinks they got lost in the snow. December 31st, 1846, provisions, scarce hides are the only article we depend on. We have a little meat yet. May God send us help. February 15th, 1847, shot Towser today and dresses his flesh. February 26th, 1847, there has 10 men arrived this morning from Bear Valley with provisions.
Out of the 87 original members, 42 travelers, about 48% of the party perished. Fortunately, 15 brave members of the Donner Party prevented the number of deaths from increasing any more than it had. These 15 travelers decided to go get help. Although 8 died, 7 got through the pass. These 7 sent 4 rescue groups to save the surviving members of the Donner Party. The rescuers were shocked at the scene they arrived upon. Bones and entrails littered the site of the catastrophe, and a 2-gallon kettle of blood was found. One of the rescue workers told about the horror he saw.
It was as if the rescuers' halo had been Gabriel's horn raising the dead from their graves. Their flesh was wasted from their bodies. They wept and laughed hysterically.
In the end, the rescue workers succeeded, saving 45 travelers, about 52% of the party.
After the survivors were rescued, they followed through with their original plan. The Donner Party made it to California. Patrick Breen, whose diary entries were read earlier in this documentary, was one of the luckier members of the party. Breen, his wife Margaret, and their 7 children all arrived safely at their destination. Baby Isabella lived until 1935, the last survivor of the Donner Party.
Life in the mining camps. Gold Rush all started at Sutter's Fort in 1848. John Sutter, the founder of Sutter's Fort, sent a carpenter named James Marshall nearby Sutter's Fort to construct a sawmill. Marshall looked to the ground for a moment, seeing something shiny. He tells us,
It made my heart thump, for I was certain it was gold.
After telling Sutter about the gold, the two decided to keep quiet. This plan did not work out. The next day, a Native American worker was shouting that he had found oro, the Spanish word for gold. Word quickly got out, and soon the whole country was wild with gold fever. The effects of the California gold rush affected everyone, even the President of the United States. In President James K. Polk's inaugural address, he stated,
The accounts of abundance of gold are of such an extraordinary character as would scarcely command belief were they not corroborated by the authentic reports of officers in the public service.
As more and more people arrived in California, mining camps sprang up everywhere. People from all around the world with different cultures and backgrounds traveled to these. The mining camps were male-dominant, with only about 5% of the camp populations being women and children. The men were often young, single, and adventurous. Most men searched for gold, but others made a living differently. Men were paid much money for supplying miners with the food, clothing, property, equipment, and other services they needed. Men also made large profits by owning stores, hotels, and law firms. While men were quite successful in mining camps, women were even more so. Because men preferred women's cooking and cleaning, they paid more for it. Women cooked, did laundry, and worked in boarding houses, hotels, restaurants, and bars. Very few women mined because mining was considered a manly job.
Families were often broken up during the California gold rush. Husbands would go to California to try striking it rich, and wives would stay home waiting for their spouse to return.
One woman, Sabrina Swain, wrote her husband William, It will be 9 months, the 11th of this month, since you left home. How long to be separated from one we dearly love. Life after the California gold rush.
By the end of the California gold rush, over 750,000 pounds of gold had been found. Miners who struck it rich used their gold in a variety of ways. Some miners would spend gold on clothing, travel, or businesses. Others would use their gold to gamble or buy liquor. Popular homes at the time were large Victorian-style homes, so some miners used gold to buy one of these.
When the gold rush ended, thousands of immigrants were in California. Most miners planned to go home, but many of them ended up staying in California. Chinese, Europeans, Mexicans, and South Americans filled the state. Because so many were left in California, the Californios were affected negatively. W. Kelly talked about how Yankees disliked the many foreigners living in their native land.
The Yankee regarded every man but his own kind as an interloper, who had no right to come to California and pick up the gold of free and enlightened citizens.
On the other hand, foreigners were happy. Listen to what Lai Chung Choing tells us.
From far and near we came and were pleased.
On the other hand, immigrants loved the chance they had received to live in California. Chinese immigrant Lai Chun-chuang wrote about the thoughts of immigrants.
With all the population growth, California was soon eligible to become a state. California had become the 31st state in 1850, just 2 years after the United States acquired it. The new state of California began creating jobs. Even though the California gold rush was over, some continued to mine. Others farmed, ranched, and owned businesses. One newspaper article stated that people were working as
Plowmen, laundrymen, placer miners, woolen spinners and weavers, domestic servants, cigar makers, and shoemakers.
We were able to make this documentary happen because of the following sources that provided information and images.